of insecurity is relatively higher than ever before. Insecurity affects us all. It affects everything from our personal freedom, how we travel, from the cost of goods and services, to even our physical and mental health. Therefore, we have a duty to help security agencies protect us better, wherever and whenever we can. If you see or hear something suspicious in your neighborhood, don't keep it to yourself, but be sure to say something to the right authorities. Remember, you could just be saving a life, and that life you save could be yours.
This is a message from the Silverbird Group.
Welcome back. It's News Up Extra on Silverbird News 24, coming to you live from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The European Union Observation Mission, that is the EUEOM, to Nigeria published its final report on the federal and state elections, that is of February 25 and March 18. The chief observer, Barry Andrews, members of the European Parliament stated, and I quote, "In the lead-up of the 2023 general elections, Nigerian citizens demonstrated a clear commitment to the democratic process. But, you know, they faltered some things in that election." So that is what we're going to be talking about today. We have Dr. Lakunle Ibrahim. He is a public affairs analyst. He is not new to the show. He is a family, and he is very good at, you know, dissecting such issues. I'm not patronizing you. That is what it is. So let's go straight to the point. That said, the part of the findings was that the election exposed during systematic weakness and therefore signaled a need for further legal and operational reforms, that it wasn't transparent and that there were some, you know, glitches. What's your own take?
Well, thank you. You know, prior to 2023 general elections, we said it here, and we were able to point out some of the problems INEC as a body may experience.
Okay.
And even during and after elections, if you look at various analyses, you agree with me, and most Nigerians are of the opinion that the election was not transparent. Just one problem made it not transparent: the failure of INEC to upload results as promised. I am not a lawyer. I only have knowledge about the legal framework that guides that Electoral Act. But if you have made promises and you are unable to keep to those promises, there is no way people will believe you. People will have to question you. The transparency they're talking about here emanated from the fact that INEC could not even upload their own results on IREF as at when required. Even immediately after elections, you agree with me that some results were published, but they were not comprehensive. So there was no chance for Nigerians to compare and contrast the results that came from various polling units with what INEC uploaded on IREF. And if you also look at this issue, it is technology. And we all know that Nigeria is one of the leading developing countries of the world. Many Nigerians were eager. They were happy. INEC made promises they were going to, you know, upload results. Yes. But the failure of INEC to upload their results changed most people's mind. If you look at it critically, that the February 25th general election, there were glitches, there were problems, but INEC was able to, you know, quickly come up to redeem their image a bit prior to March 18 general elections. And if you look at March 18 general election, you agree with me that there were improvements. But INEC shouldn't have waited till that period, you know, to make amendments in their technological glitches and other stuff. So many Nigerians were, let me just say, most Nigerians were disappointed. Most Nigerians were disappointed. So the transparency, the European Union election observing team pointed out, they pointed out series of things prior to election, even pre-election matters. If you look at, if you read the comprehensive report, they spoke about, you know, a lot of things, people with disability, women participation, youth inclusiveness in politics, voter apathy, you know, and some other things. And they made a whole lot of recommendations. And if you also look at it, they've made series of recommendations over the years. There was a particular paragraph I read where they said out of about, I think, 15 recommendations, INEC only implemented one fully. That's sad. Election monitoring is not to condemn your election. It's just to assess the process or the electioneering process to see where there are lapses and to see where INEC as an organization can quickly, you know, breach the
so
gap.
that with time you keep getting
With
better.
time you keep getting
Yes,
better. It's a gradual process.
Yes, there were 6 priority recommendations, so listed by them. So I'll just list these recommendations. The 6 priority recommendations point to the need to remove ambiguity in the law. That is one. Secondly, establish a publicly accountable selection process for INEC members. 3, ensure real-time publication of the access to election results. Then 4, provide greater protection for media practitioners. Then address criminal discrimination against women in political life. And lastly, impunity regarding electoral offenses. How do you think this would really go well? Do you think it is something that they would attend to?
Yes. It's something they should.
Of course,
They should. It's a must. It's a must. Because it's just like INEC is the sole determinant of who leads, govern, or roots Nigeria for a period of time after election results have been announced. If you have an organization like INEC and they are not living up to their responsibilities, Nigerians will never trust them. The level of trust before that election was high. But immediately after that February 25th election, it dropped drastically. Impunity. Journalists at times are not even given the chance to cover the electioneering process the way they should. And we have also seen situations whereby criminal gangs, despite all innovations and inventions, that did not stop electoral criminality. These are people that once arrested, they should be dealt with appropriately. The essence of punishment, one of the doctrines of punishment is deterrence. When you punish offenders, those who have the mind or those who have the potentials of committing such crime will be deterred. And critical issues deserve rehabilitation of those offenders. Because I see no reason INEC will make a whole lot of promises to Nigerians for several months, and just during the election, you flop. No, it is unacceptable. But I also want, you know, the European Union, it's not all about election observation. It's also about taking into cognizance or consideration the nature and composition of the place you are going to. I don't even think the observers were up to 300. How do you observe, do you expect 300 persons? I know the observers were less than 300, but let's say 300. How do you expect such persons to observe elections that cut across 36 states of the Federation? It simply means most of your observers have no choice other than to rely on local observers again.
Exactly, I wanted to say
So
that.
when you now rely on local observers, the EU monitoring team came, I think, around 11th of January, and they left 11th of April. That period, the time frame was too short. Where were they? Because if you look at their reports, they wrote extensively on pre-election matters. But they weren't on ground then. When the primaries were being conducted and all those stuff were conducted, they weren't here. So they were able to highlight the problem from pre-election period. And if you look at our legal framework, Nigeria's legal system is too ambiguous. There are lacunas in our law. There are loopholes that we need to block. Until we strengthen our legal framework, we are not going anywhere. Because the essence of election, we have over, let me say, before general election, we had over 1,000 pre-election matters in various courts. And that even altered some candidates' level of performance during campaign, because you are imagining whether you are going to lose a case, you won't be able to, you won't even have that mind, that courage to do your campaign the way you would want to do it, because you may feel like at the end of the day, you may or may not survive such litigation. So our legal framework needs to be strengthened. It needs to be strengthened because the essence of election and those who feel aggrieved is to approach the court of law. That is where the real winners are determined if there are problems as regards to the election that, brought people into power. So INEC as an organization should redeem its own image. And Nigerians also needs character reconfiguration, as we have always preached. Most of these problems they highlighted are not external problems. They are internal problems caused by Nigerians themselves. In most situations, it is not all about leadership. It is also about complacent followership. What is the role of the followers? Leaders are messing up. What about the followers? What about those who have sold their next 4 years for 1 kg of semo and 1 kg of rice? They highlighted vote buying. They highlighted a lot of things. Despite that technology, Nigerians are a very innovative set of persons. They made innovations as regards to vote buying. There was cash problem. And that even, yes, there was cash problem. Let me just say there was economic problem prior to that election. But that didn't still stop our politicians from doing their normal, So we just need to reconfigure our character. We need to re-socialize ourselves. Our level of political socialization should be strong. Because if you look at political socialization in Nigeria, it is poor. Voter apathy. If you examine the number of voters from 1999 till now, you agree with me that it has always been dropping. And it is dropping not because Nigerians are not willing to vote. It is because those techniques, processes, methods of rigging election is gradually coming down. This last election had lowest turnout.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Lowest turnout in terms
from
of
1999, number of voters.
Yes.
We are not talking about number of registered voters. Okay. We are talking about number of persons that came out to vote.
To vote.
Yes.
Really? That's news.
If you check it from 1999 to 2023.
That's according to statistics.
According to
not what we saw with our eyes.
According to statistics, even according to INEC, because the figure is there. How will you have registered voters of about 90, 100 million, and those who came out to vote are not even up to 30 million?
Maybe they voted on social media.
Well, you see, I at times feel so disappointed that Nigerians don't really vote, but we have more voters on social media.
Yes.
It is not social media that is going to rule this country for the next 4 years, and coupled with our network issues in this country. We spoke about it then, prior to election. Yes. There were areas that there was no network. How do you expect them to transmit results? The BVAS technology should be a kind of technology that will have access to network anywhere, anytime. Our politicians are so, I don't know how to put it. There are places development will not get to, but ballot box will get to those places. Yes. How did you manage to get to those places?
They swam the boat on 7 seas. Okay, so let us go to orientation. You spoke about the orientation of people, comparing the amount of registered voters since 99 and now. Do you think the National Orientation Agency is doing well enough, you know, to, I've seen ads, I've seen, you know, flyers and all that.
They are not.
Okay, and what should they do going forward?
The essence of establishing National Orientation Agency is to reconfigure Nigerians' minds about certain issues. When last did you see the National Orientation Agency doing a daily report or advising Nigerians on a daily basis? So if you don't do that, what is national about you? You need to subject Nigerians to mind reconfiguration. There are people who have already zeroed their mind that till they die, they will never vote. There are people like that. Because they feel, even if I cast my vote, it will not count.
And they don't know they are shortchanging
themselves. And they don't know they are shortchanging themselves. Because you have a particular candidate you feel would do better. If you don't come out to vote for such candidates, what will happen? And politicians now, you know, bank on these thoughts and try as much as possible to bring their own persons. An average politician has his own list, his or her own list, the structure on ground, grooming them. That look, next election, you must give us 500 people. You give us 500 people. And those 500 persons, or no matter the number of persons you are bringing, they are not those who are determined to make the country a better place. They are people who are coming out to vote on the basis of their preference for a particular candidate. So the National Orientation Agency, Nigerian Television Authority, Radio Nigeria, including Silverbird Communication, you have a lot of work to do. It will be your own corporate social responsibility to speak with Nigerians from time to time on the need to sit up when it comes to election matters. It is our right, not a privilege. It is a right. It is not a privilege. So if you fail to take what is your own right, then privileges will never get to you.
Okay, trust us, we have always done our corporate social responsibility.
Thanks to Silverbird.
Yes, before the election, during the election, after the election, and we have one currently running.
Just do more.
Yes, we have one.
It can never be enough.
On climate change, wildlife, we have many of them.
Yes.
All right, okay, so still on this European mission, now with the recommendations, do you think that it is just another stair that will pass by? You know, here in Nigeria, there's always a stair and everybody like, this is happening. And before you know what's happening, it will just slowly pass away. Do you think this would be like that?
It may, and it may not. It's all depend on the level of awareness. I've seen many people talking about this report, but I can assure you that most people have not read that report. And seeing is believing. If you don't read it, how will you understand their recommendations? People should come up, analyze the report, the way they analyzed election on social media. Yes, you know, media censorship again is a problem in this country. Because everybody now is a journalist. Anybody can just pick his or her phone, post on TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and the new one, Threads. And you begin to confuse the populace on informations that are not facts. So the recommendations they just made are very vital to the development of our electioneering processes. If we fail to adhere to those, I've seen people saying the European Union, what do they know about election in Nigeria? No, forgetting the fact that there is a United Nations treaty on election observation. Yes, they didn't just come here. INEC invited them. So INEC should be pleased with their report and take where they feel they need to sit up. Their observations are correct. Because an average Nigerian who is, you know, sensitive enough will know that all these issues were issues that actually happened, you know. So if such report is now everywhere, it's a slap on our face as a country that in this era, after how many years of democracy, we are still experiencing what we have always experienced. No. The innovations and the inventions that INEC has come up with should go a long way in strengthening the entire political institution. So we need to take serious those recommendations by the EU monitoring team. It is very essential. It is very essential. And what I expect is that our local observers should always come up with their own report before EU missions. No. What are they doing? They were also observers during the election. Why would you wait for somebody who is thousands of miles away to release their own report before we release our own reports?
Yeah, let me interject. There were some of them who did. Yaga Africa did. But you know, we here in Nigeria, whenever it has to do with
don't take
local,
our things serious.
We don't take our things seriously.
You see, that's why I said Nigerians' character needs to be reconfigured. We should have preference for our things. We should believe so much in our people. Those who are in Yaga Africa are Nigerians, Africans.
They probably think it has a political undertone.
We have problems in this country. Your own people have come up with a report. You are not taking it serious. EU came up with their report. You are everywhere projecting it. What does that imply? We don't believe in our system. It's sad.
Okay, so the two opposition presidential candidates, that is of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, commended well, as expected, commended the recommendations and finding of the European Union mission. And you know, the case has been in court and they've been back and forth, and we've sometimes had this argument as to whether their mandates, their stolen mandates in quote, perceived stolen mandates in quotes would be returned to them. I remember having the privilege to ask the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, if you, for example, you've gone to court, you seek redress and nothing happens, what will you do? He says they will leave it to God. But he is not leaving it to God now. He's still pressing charges. What do you think? What is your, do you think that they're perceived, as you said, stolen mandate will be given to them in the long run?
Well, it is only the law court that can decide that.
But do you think it is possible in this country?
Of course. Of course. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is what? Impossible.
Impossible is nothing.
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing is impossible.
Okay.
Just that. You know, power play in Nigeria is an issue that you can't just beat your chest 100% that this is what is going to happen. Because you read some court cases and you'll be surprised.
Yes.
Honestly, you'll be surprised that, wow, even according to the principle of natural justice, this cannot stand.
Yes.
But what will you do? The court has the ultimate power to decide who won and who lost. As we are now, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president. He's not bigger than the court.
All right.
He is not bigger than the court. Anything can happen.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the trust. You spoke about the distrust that we already have, not we, Nigerians, most Nigerians already have for the Independent National Electoral Commission because of the fallout of the February 25 election, although they tried to make amend in the March 18 election, but as Yorubas will say, Kobamo. You know, so what do you think INEC can do going forward to regain this lost trust?
One, INEC honestly needs to apologize to Nigerians. Yes.
And admit, first off.
And admit that they messed up. Yes. You are not working for yourself, you are working for Nigerians. The money they are paying your salary belongs to Nigerians. And you see, until the president stops appointing an INEC chairman, we may not have a headway. We have people who work in INEC. We have directors who are next. Why will you have to bring somebody from somewhere to come and head that organization. Why? Does that mean those who have been working in INEC for several years cannot lead such an organization? But you have to go somewhere, bring somebody based on the president's ratification that this is the INEC chairman. My sister,
Yes.
if I employ you, I'm your employer, you are my employee. You know your limits. There are things you cannot do to me
Definitely.
because I pay you. So, the trust is a very serious issue. And with the kind of political, composition we have here, a president would not even want to appoint somebody who would not listen to him.
Definitely.
It is a fact. Remove INEC from presidency. Presidency should have nothing to do with INEC. They call it independent. Why are you depending on presidency? It doesn't sound well, my sister. It doesn't sound well. That is the number one thing. You need to take INEC out of presidency. It is wrong now.
Okay, yeah, I know we've had this argument before that the Independent National Electoral Commission is not that independent.
They are not.
Yes, because one way or the other, government still has a hand in it. And if governments, make laws and implementations of policy one way or the other, they will still conform to it.
We don't implement policies in this country. All these observations and recommendations, we have laws that back those things.
Of course, but they are paper laws.
But the lack of political will to implement those policies is why we are still
crawling, actually.
crawling
All right.
like a small child.
We could go on and on and on, but still on the European mission, the observation they made and the recommendations, we have not really gone that deep, even though
We haven't.
we haven't at all.
From 1999, same
Yes, and this is 2023. It's
similar
really sad.
recommendations.
Yes, it's really, really sad.
It's
that
it's not even sad,
2023
it's annoying.
Yes, and in 2023 we'll be having issues like that. We'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about more still on this election. Don't touch that dial because a lot is going to be revealed in the course of the show.
The rate of insecurity is relatively higher than ever before. Insecurity affects us all. It affects everything from our personal freedom, how we travel, from the cost of goods and services, to even our physical and mental health. Therefore, we have a duty to help security agencies protect us better, wherever and whenever we can. If you see or hear something suspicious in your neighborhood, don't keep it to yourself, but be sure to say something to the right authorities. Remember, you could just be saving a life, and that life you save could be yours.
This is a message from the Silverbird Group.
You can now stream Silverbird News 24 live on mobile app. All you need to do is to download Silverbird News 24 app from Google Play Store on your Android devices and App Store or on your Apple devices. Tap the live button at the bottom bar to watch us live 24/7. You can enjoy all our news programs including Pidgin News and program. Silverbird News 24. The news never stops.
Welcome back to News Up Extra. If you are just joining us, we have been evaluating the EU mission's observation with Dr. Lakunle Ibrahim. We have, spoken about a lot, the recommendations and the way forward. So now we would be going to a very critical area that I observed, during this administration, particularly in the National Assembly. Probably because I cover the National Assembly, so I have been worried that the participation of women compared to the last Senate, that's the 9th Senate, is shrinking by the day. Compared to the 9th Senate, the present Senate has only 3 women in the Senate and about 17 in the House of Reps. And the principal officers just came on. In the Senate, no principal officer, that's a female principal officer, both in the majority and the minority. And then in the House of Reps, we'll have only one that is deputizing. She is going to be the deputy minority whip as usual. And of course in governorship, let's not even go to governorship. Let's not go to governorship. We'll always have them deputizing as usual. So it is part of you know, we cannot ignore. Even if we're talking about the observation, we noticed that the EU also observed women participation in politics, which is a very key area. We've observed that when it has to do with campaign, when it has to do with, you know, publicity, they always call the women to take the forefront. They are the one going out there to, you know, to canvass for votes and all that. But when it has to do with the share of the cake, they just, you know, give her the leftover. What's your take on this?
Let me start by saying women generally are one of the most beautiful things God created. No doubt. I've always made reference to nature and composition of societies that you find yourself. Africa generally, we practice what is called patriarchy, a society that is male dominant. In a society where men dominate, women will have less voice. There is nothing you can do to it. But where this issue is problematic is the fact that women vote a lot.
Yeah.
But the question is, does that mean they don't vote for their counterparts? If I may ask you, does that mean women don't vote for women? We've always heard the phrase, na woman they do man.
Yes.
So why? At the mention of a woman in politics, people begin to cast aspersions on their names, you know, say things. And these things continue to stand because our society have not really been able to come up with laws that protect women.
True.
Our electoral law gives room for women to participate, even youths to participate. But are they really participating? Is the political terrain conducive enough for them to be included? The answer is no. The answer is what? No. If you have 109 senators, and you have how many? Just one. Oh, sorry, 3.
Just 3, yes.
Just 3?
Yes, and out of the principal officers, no woman.
How do you expect them to give them principal officers now? They'll bully them. They'll bully them. The first time we had a woman as Speaker House of Representatives in Nigeria, we knew what happened. She was flushed out of the seat unceremoniously. People have done worse things than what she did. If it were to be a man, he would stand, fight with them to the last end. But what happened? She was bullied. Yes, she was impeached, but the impeachment came with bully. How do we solve all these problems? Women need to begin to speak up. They have a lot to offer. And Nigerians also should stop looking at women like they cannot do what men are doing in politics. You are not cutting trees. You are not doing farming activities there. And are you also, even the farming activities I just made reference to now, if you know the number of women who are into farming, you'll be like, wow. So I don't know why our political institution does not really give room or chance to women to be actively involved. Go to political rallies and campaigns. Those who sing, those who make the place, you know,
Lively,
nice, sound,
yes.
lively, are women. On election day, go to polling units and see the number of women who come out to vote. But when it comes to elective positions, right from primaries
Yeah, they give them the back seats.
They give them the back seats. So if you have been given the back seat right from primary level, what else? There is nothing you can do. And it has been like that since 1999. Not even since 1999. It has been like that since. Not giving women chance to participate in politics. Not that they don't give them the chance. The law gives them the chance. But the society we live in does not permit them to actively, get involved in politics. So we need to let our people know that, look, whatever men can do in politics, women can also do it and even do better.
Okay, I recall in Rwanda, Rwanda has majority of women in their parliament. That's next to Nicaragua. And I also recall France put in a policy reserving particular seats for women. That means that if a woman is disqualified, a woman replaces her. Not this type that if a woman is disqualified, then a man replaces her. We were speaking earlier about our policies and implementations on paper. Do you think that this can be implemented in Nigeria? And do you see it as duly being implemented after the policy is on ground?
The National Assembly that is 99% made up of men. Huh?
Yes.
Are they the ones that will make such law? I doubt. I doubt. This National Assembly that we have, of 99% out of 100 men, are they the ones that will make such law? You see, this thing has to come, it may come to stay one day, but it requires gradual advocacy. The Ministry of Women Affairs should come up with a template, present it to the president, present it to the National Assembly. Let people know that these are your plans. When they fail to do it, then it will be clear that you have tried your own best in coming up with policies that will protect women's participation in politics. Rwanda has been at the forefront of setting pace for so many things in Africa. We can learn from African countries that have come up with these policies. How did it work for them? Yeah. But if you look at Rwanda, in terms of religious composition and in terms of how hard religious doctrines are, that of Nigeria, my sister, is tougher than that of Rwanda. There are religions that do not really permit women, to be at the forefront of public. So what do you do? Even if you make, but yours is just to make the policy.
Sure.
Whether there is a particular religion or that does not support women, it is out of it.
You're very right, because I recalled recently at the Senate, Senator Biodun Olujimi brought up some motions about gender equality bill, then gender equality bill, and then they brought it down under religious reasons that in some religion, men and women are not equal. So she has to change the motion. She had to change it to gender and equity, something that had to do with equity bill. And when it was brought to the floor again...
What is equality? What is equity?
Equity, it was dead on arrival that, okay, she should go back, work on it, and all of that. And now we have the President Bola Tinubu administration. Before he came on board, he promised inclusivity with youth, women, and, people living with disabilities. He promised quite a lot. And I know for sure that the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is also a driver in terms of women. Do you think that this administration, with the way it's going and its implementation, would be able to implement women's participation, not looking at what is happening in the National Assembly?
I'm a bit convinced. I'm a bit convinced. If it is in terms of appointments, it's something that is very easy for the president to do.
Okay.
Yes. He will make appointments, get ratifications where necessary, maybe from National Assembly or whatsoever. But that doesn't stop him from appointing women of quality. There are women that are very sound, my God. When you listen to some women speak, Even you as a man will feel intimidated. I've seen a lot of young, vibrant, and brilliant young girls out there. But it's unfortunate that the society we live in does not give them the chance to showcase their potentials and talents. Go to our various universities and see what the girl child is achieving. I don't believe, if you say gender equality, one religion, this, that, we are equal in the eyes of God. So
Some people would want to argue that, but well,
we are equals.
yes.
This thing is, it is not contestable, except people who like problem bringing this on. No, we are equal in the eyes of God. We God judge you differently because you are a man or you are a woman. But when you want to share earthly reward, you say we are not equal. It's a blatant lie.
Okay.
It's a fat lie from the pit of hell. So what is, we are equal.
Okay. Recall that 5 gender bills were stepped down, and it brewed a protest. In fact, the protest took about 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, in the front of the National Assembly. And now, the 10th Assembly, with what is happening now, do you think that those 5 gender bills would come to life again?
I doubt.
So it will be
I
dead on
doubt.
arrival.
You know, gender equality is a social problem.
Yes.
Because the word gender itself is socially inclined. It is not biological. It is socially inclined. And I'm very sorry to tell you this. We need to be gender sensitive. Because a man who has a vibrant, young, intelligent, brilliant daughter would want his daughter to compete with his male counterparts anywhere in the world.
Yes.
This thing just has to do with orientation. If you look at other countries of the world where women participate, especially in Europe and America, where they have laws that really protect their women, it is a signal that sometimes ago there was this problem present in their various societies.
Yeah.
It was a problem, but they addressed the problem by coming up with policies that will further strengthen and enhance women participation in politics, and see where they are today. We have seen one of the best countries of the world having women: Australia, Germany, Australia, even UK. So we just need to understand that gender equality is a problem. It is a problem. Then we'll come up with policies that will further ameliorate what women suffer as regards to that social problem.
Okay, let's go to orientation, because I run a side show on Rhythm, Women Voices, and I've noticed with time that most times it's not as if those women don't want to come out, but because of their orientation, their culture, their religion, they have been made to believe that they have certain side carved out for them in the kitchen. And I've had situations where somebody is ambitious and they're saying, what about your home front? What about your husband? How are you going to cook?
Kids.
What about your kids? No, you shouldn't choose that kind of ambition. It's going to this, that. It's going to stifle you. So I've noticed that culture, background, the family has a lot to play and influence women. Now, this is not going to be solely government's responsibility. What do you think, the society can do to be able, to cast that enlightenment in women who are in such a cage?
It has to do with the process of socialization. And when I say socialization, it's not just about you learning the norms and values of the society that are acceptable. No. The process of socialization is a lifelong process.
Yeah.
And it involves the transformation from a biological organism
Yes.
into a social organism. If I may ask you, at birth, once people identify girl child, boy child, the jubilation differs.
Yeah.
Why growing up? Why will you have to buy teddy bear for the girl child and buy
ball.
ball for the boy child?
Yeah.
Why would you buy bicycle for the boy child and send the girl child to the kitchen? That's why I said it is about the process of socialization, how you socialize your kids. Because doing those things at the preliminary level
Yes.
is already giving them the social impression that I'm a girl, I'm a child. Sorry, I'm a girl, I'm a boy.
Yes.
This is what a boy should do, and this is what a girl should do. Why not take the two of them along when you go to the kitchen? If you take your boy child to the kitchen, it begins to learn the basic techniques of cooking. Such boy may even derive joy, happiness in doing it. And as he grows up, where the wife is indisposed, he comes in
And takes care of
and
himself.
takes care of himself
Yes.
and possibly the wife.
Yes.
Not even possibly,
Yes.
and the wife.
Yes. And
Because,
even if he is not married, he can take care of himself.
Of himself.
Yes.
you know, that is why we have a lot of irresponsible boys up and down right now.
Dr.
Because, yes, because they were not trained
Yeah. I could
to
I can
respect.
see that you're low-key a feminist and a woman rights
No,
advocate.
I'm only gender sensitive.
Very, very gender sensitive.
I'm not a
But
feminist.
You're not a feminist.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no.
All right.
If
But
I thought
you're
I'm going to
woman
be a
rights
feminist,
advocate.
yes, if I thought I'm going to be a feminist, I'm going to be a liberal feminist.
Okay.
There is, you know, radical feminists, liberals, and so.
All right. Okay. So I'm just going to peg, apart from public affairs analyst, a woman rights advocate, because I can see you're really advocating for women. Sadly, we've come to the end of the show. We've run out of time. So we're going to draw our curtains here. Thank you so very much for coming on the show, Dr. Olakunle Ibrahim. I hope that would, be having you in subsequent shows, to dissect topics of importance. All right. Okay. So it's News Up Extra. That is the wrap for today. I am at Sinuke Tokuranuke. Join us same time next week. And do not forget that on Monday we'll be having News Up on Silverbird News 24. Do not touch that dial. There are other programs lined up for you. So bye for today.